Whole hour, one whole topic airs tomorrow at 8 p.m. Eastern and Pacific, only on CNN. And for the first time, Catholic leaders in the U.S. are apologizing for what they call mistreatment and trauma inflicted on Native Americans. The formal apology issued by the U.S. Conference of Catholic Bishops on Friday discussed the church's role in forced assimilation of Native American children in the 19th and 20th centuries through a number of boarding schools. And in their statement, they say, I'm quoting now, today, many North American indigenous Catholics trace their faith to the decision of their ancestors to embrace Catholicism hundreds of years ago. Sadly, many indigenous Catholics have felt a sense of abandonment in their relationship with church leaders due to a lack of understanding of their unique cultural needs. We apologize for the failure to nurture, strengthen, honor, recognize, and appreciate those entrusted to our pastoral care. Joining us right now is former Catholic priest Patrick Wall. He is the author of the book Sex, Priests, and Secret Codes. Patrick, great to see you.
Good to see you.
So in your view, what is the significance of this apology by the church, and how meaningful is it for the victims who endured this abuse?
Well, this is a really hollow apology because comes only after being forced by 3 decades of litigation and government inquiry and international pressure. They did not do this freely, just as many Native people did not choose to become Catholic in the prior century freely because of the force of the institution.
Mm-hmm. So for many who don't know, what were these schools, these boarding schools, all about? What were the kinds of abuses that many of these Native Americans endured?
Well, these were Roman Catholic boarding schools funded by mainly taxpayer dollars, through the government, and they were regional. So these kids were literally plucked away from their families, sent to these boarding schools to be trained and enculturated, and essentially it destroyed the language and culture and music of the Native way. And so when these kids then did go back to their villages or go back to their reservations, they were lost. They were trained in the Western way. They weren't trained in their Native way.
Back in 2022, Pope Francis traveled to Canada and formally apologized for the forced assimilation of Native children there. So what explains the space between the Pope doing that in Canada and the U.S. Catholic bishops issuing its apology now?
Well, again, there's been an ongoing 30 years of litigation. And so now that the public has the ability to see the kids who were sexually assaulted by Roman Catholic priests and religious in these schools, that it's finally starting to come to light that they have to change, but it's only because of district attorneys' inquiries, because of state attorney general's reports, and years of forced litigation that they're even beginning the process of this apology. But there are many things that they have done from a revisionist history standpoint, not fully acknowledging what their people did. And this is the time, I really believe, that they need to ask the government, they need to ask the U.S. Senate, because it's a multi-state problem, to inquire and study what religions have done to Native Alaskans and Native Indian people across all the states, across all the religions, find out what happened, and then develop policies and pathways forward to help them heal.
And you touched on this, many of the victims of, say, the boarding schools, or this assimilation practice, they never recovered. Many were never reunited with their family members. They suffered lifelong trauma. So might this apology potentially lead to something more, something bigger? I mean, reparations of some sort that will help promote a healing or, fill in some of the blanks?
I think the biggest thing they can do is not try to fix it themselves, but ask for help. to call on the U.S. Senate, to get U.S. senators, especially who have large Native populations, to come together, have a entire nationwide investigation of what happened at all the religious boarding schools, and allow the survivors to know what happened to them, to know it wasn't their fault, and to see that this was a pretty systematic thing that they were forced into, and there was nowhere for them to go.
Yeah, very horrible. All right, Patrick Wall, thank you so much.
Happy Father's Day.
Thank you. Happy Father's Day to you. All right, coming up, ISIS isn't done